crispy pillows. So beautiful. Welcome to Next Level Kitchen, where the mentors of Next Level Chef are giving you tips, tricks, and delicious recipes to make your food at home even better. And today, I'm putting the challenge to myself to make a dish that is easy, but most importantly, full of ingredients I promise you can find anywhere. It's a delicious gnocchi. Watch carefully, because between you and I know Richard Blaze is gonna steal this recipe for his team next season. That way, he may bag a win. Right, start off with baked potatoes. Even if you're not doing it on the day, baking them in advance, sticking them in the fridge, it doesn't matter. My baked potatoes are literally in the oven. So, the beauty of this is the flavour from the gnocchi is in the bacon of the potato, okay? First off, we're gonna just lightly peel these, okay? And if they're baked nicely, they should literally just peel. But cut them in half, okay? I'm gonna sort of scrape out the potato, and then we're gonna use what they call a ricer. It's this here. And basically you stick the potatoes in there and push them through. If you haven't got a ricer, a grater is also effective, okay? Literally, get the spoon. Now, get the potato into there, okay? Save those skins, by the way, okay? Sometimes they're great for loaded baked potatoes as well. And then, literally, the spoon just sits in there. And these are great, especially, it's easy to bake a potato. Save those skins, do not throw them away, okay? Now, from there, lightly season it, touch of pepper, and a touch of salt. And now, we're gonna start ricing. So, we season the potato, and you'll see now how putting it in the ricer makes it nice and fluffy. Look, in she goes, there. And honestly, if you haven't got a ricer, a grater, on the small side is just as effective. And all it's doing is pushing it through these tiny little holes, and it creates a lot of air, which makes the potato nice and fluffy and smooth. That way, we haven't got any lumps. So look, beautiful. Now, this is a great way of making mashed potatoes as well, by the way, okay? These ricers are incredible. So we've seasoned it. It's nice and light and fluffy. And then just scrape off that excess. Now, just make a little well in the middle. Get an egg and just crack that egg into the bowl and then whisk that up. Now, I got my baked potato, egg, salt, pepper in there. Now we're gonna start seasoning this with some ricotta. Now, I've dried the ricotta so it's not too wet, okay? So just squeeze that in between a paper towel and literally get rid of any excess water. In. And then from there, put in 2/3 of the egg, okay? And just start binding this. Now, mix that ricotta through first, okay? Don't overmix it, because it sort of tends to break up the ricotta. And I want the ricotta flecks running through the gnocchi. You can see that evenly mixed. And now we're gonna start sprinkling just some really nice 00 flour. And this is what really helps to give the color on the gnocchi. And all we're gonna do now is bring it together like a really nice, almost like a sort of pasta dough texture. From there, take our little sprigs of thyme, hold them upside down, and just pull off these beautiful little flowers. And that's gonna make the gnocchi really nice and fragrant. And we're not gonna blanch this gnocchi, we're gonna saute it. The potatoes are already cooked, as you know. And so by literally sauteing the gnocchi, we're gonna get all that really nice color and just strip these beautiful stems of that fresh, delicious thyme. Now from there, once you've bound all that together, just make sure it's sort of pliable. And you want it almost, not too wet, but you want it sort of almost like a dough. Let that rest for 5 minutes. And look at your fingers, make sure your fingers are nice and clean. That's an indication that the dough's not too wet. Therefore, when we start to roll and manipulate the gnocchi dough, it won't stick to the board. Now, once this dough has rested, okay, lightly flour the surface, okay? Lightly flour your hands, and then from there, got this beautiful big roll. I'm gonna start off and roll this down. Now, I quite like a sort of nice thick texture on the gnocchi, okay? Don't over flour the board and just roll it out like a big fat cigar. And you can see once it's rested, what happens now is that it shapes beautifully. If we went to making it so quickly, then it just retracts. As I'm rolling it, it stays out like this. And then, look, I'll just roll that nicely, lift that up there, and then just sort of one through. Don't have to be too exact with this. It's a delicious home dish, okay? So don't get het up about making them all exact. Lightly season your little paddle, get your thumb. You can either go with your thumb and push your thumb through the gnocchi, like that, or just roll and just come round. I prefer this way, because those little lines get that really nice colour in the pan. Again, just keep your fingers nice and floured. Push in and let it curl back down. It's a really nice way of sort of showing off what you can do with a leftover baked potato. Again, round. I've got ricotta cheese in here, but honestly, you can put any form of cheese in these potatoes. It's just a really nice way. And so it's sort of gnocchi done almost like a little cavatelli. And so there's multiple ways of doing this. And look, from 1, 2 potatoes, the yield is incredible. Let that board do the work, push down, and then bang. And these are perfect for a great dinner party because they can just sit there, dry nicely, room temperature, and then when you come to soak them, they get really nice and crispy. So pan, nice and hot. This dish moves fast now because that's the majority of the work done. So I've got my fresh peas, I've got my pecorino, a little bit of lemon, and some fresh, delicious pesto. Now, the nice thing about this dish, you can actually use pesto that is store-bought. They're making amazing pesto now, or make your own fresh. Basil, I'm gonna get everything ready so when I start cooking, there's no interruption. I always go for the biggest leaf first, and then I sort of get a little handful of baby leaves. I get my big leaf, I tuck the small leaves in, and then the biggest leaf, I wrap up all that basil, open that up, and so everything just sits on my board ready. You don't start cooking gnocchi and then look for your basil. Just roll that nice and tight, a la Snoop Dogg, and then let the knife do the work and just slice through the basil once so the goodness stays in the herb, not on the board. And that way we haven't got a damp patch of green flavors in there. Now for the exciting part. Start off with a little touch of olive oil first. Get that really nice and warm, okay? I love this dish with fried eggs as well. Fried eggs and gnocchi with some delicious feta crumbled over the top is delicious. Now, as it starts to get hot, you can just test it with one. You can start seeing them fry now. In we go, 2 or 3 at a time. I like to put them with the rivets down first, okay? And you'll see that nice, crispy texture taking place. Traditionally also, especially in France, they blanch their gnocchi in water. I'm not a big fan of that because it washes the flavor away. This potato goes really nice and crispy, especially in this pan. So, down first, okay? Up with the gas. I'm gonna give them a little season again. Touch of salt again. Little touch of pepper, okay? And now, where the flavour really starts to go up a level. We'll start putting little bits of butter around the outside of the pan. As you can see, I'm not going to toss them yet till I've got all that colour on there. And this butter really helps that sort of nut brown flavour in the potatoes. And that beautiful thyme inside really does give it a nice lift. Roll them round gently, and then get your spoon and just start flipping them over now. If the pan's moving too hot, just take it off the heat. And now we can start. You can hear that scraping noise. That's how crisp they are. So delicious. And then just turn them over. You can smell that ricotta now and those thyme flowers. So beautiful. Crispy pillows. They're starting to puff up as well. And now we're gonna start building the flavor. My fresh peas go in. Beautiful. Fresh basil, gonna go in over. That's the noise you wanna hear. And then finally, my beautiful pesto. Be quite generous with the pesto. I don't want it saturated. Now, because the gnocchi's nice and crispy, okay, it will take the pesto. If you don't get that crispiness on the gnocchi, you're in trouble. And now it's coming together beautifully. Again, touch of seasoning, touch of pepper, and this is where we bring a little bit of acid to the flavor. Lemon zest first. Over, tap, tap, tap. And then, literally, seconds before it comes out of the pan, fresh lemon juice over. This stops the butter from going too dark. And now, we are ready. Beautiful. It smells incredible. Off with the gas. It's such an elegant way of using the sort of humble leftover baked potato. We've got this amazing crispy texture. And look, a fried egg on top of that, honestly, delicious. And then again, just get your lemon and literally go over. And then finally, just a hint of extra virgin olive oil over. And it just gives that nice little richness. And then get your pecorino and just hit it nicely. And that gives it that sort of extra layer of salty, crispy cheese. And there you go, delicious potato gnocchi with fresh peas, lemon, and pecorino. Richard, I hope you're watching. Welcome back to Next Level Kitchen, where the mentors of Next Level Chef are giving you tips, tricks, and amazing, delicious recipes to cook at home. And today, guess what? I'm up for a big challenge because, remember, I asked you, my amazing subscribers, to choose a protein that you'd like to see me cook. And guess what? I think the platform is moving. Now, what did you choose for me? It is, oh my goodness, an amazing rack of pork. Thank you. Look at this. Inexpensive, an absolute staple in the Ramsay household growing up, but more importantly, something easy to cook and really delicious. Now, take one amazing pork chop. First off, before we start seasoning it, I just like to cut just little strands of this little back strap. And what that does, it helps to render the fat down and it gets really nice and crispy. And as it cooks, it's like these sort of little pork scratchings. Let's season the tray. Start off with some salt and some pepper, okay? And in order to get those flavors in there, a little touch of olive oil. Pork is very dry, so we just do a little teaspoon of olive oil onto the tray. You'll see why in a moment. From there, smoked paprika. That goes really well with pork. A light dusting over the tray. Now, it may look like a lot, but the flavor across this pork chop is delicious. Next, we've got the ancho chili powder. A little touch of coriander. And this powder's, right? So easy to store. And then pepper. And all we do now is literally just get that chop. You can do this the night before and literally rub all that flavor in to your pork chop and let them sit overnight. Honestly, the actual color of the meat changes really nice and dark, and the flavor of that amazing smoked paprika, ancho chili, coriander, look, already it's starting to look amazing, right? Now, as that starts to sit, cast iron pan, touch of olive oil. Don't get that too hot, okay? Just roll that round, and then from there, literally get your chop, and then into the pan. Beautiful, really beautiful. Now, tilt the pan so it cooks the back of that fat, and immediately get your butter in there. That stops it from burning. How many times have we had a pork chop and it's got a really nice color on it, but then it goes dry? I'm gonna show you a really nice tip to stop your pork from going dry. The secret here is not to go too crazy with the color. Just literally open that up. That butter stops those herbs from burning. But the fragrance on that pork chop now is delicious. You can just start to see where that pork is really starting to break down. If you can get this marinated the night before, or even a couple of hours before, the difference is night and day. And the beauty about cooking this pork chop on the bone is I'm determined to make sure this thing is cooked beautifully and incredibly moist. Now, from there, I've got a little bit of fresh thyme into the butter. And that's just gonna start toasting, again, another layer of flavor. Touch more butter in there, and look, beautiful, really beautiful. It's crisping up. The spice is doing its job, and I want this chop packed with flavor. Beautiful. Now, once we've got the color on that, I've got a little touch of stock, okay? Pour the stock in, and then get my lid and literally let that sit and cook nice and slowly. Turn down the gas. Now, we've got the color on the pork chop. The stock adds moisture to that pork chop. As the pork cooks, it absorbs that stock and it's really nice and juicy in the middle. Now, succotash, one of my favorites. Having spent such a long time in the US, if there's one thing I learned how to make was a really good succotash. The first thing with this corn, get it nicely seasoned. Just a little splash of olive oil, salt, pepper, and just get that toasting, literally on an open gas. And what we want to do now is literally char that corn, okay? And the secret of a really good succotash is in the ingredients. We've got a little butternut squash, red onion, some beautiful bell peppers, and a zucchini. First off, slice the onion. This is a rustic succotash. The nice thing about this is that it can be used 3 or 4 times. As it sits in the fridge, it just gets better and better in flavor. Now, that corn is roasting beautifully. And look at that pork, beautiful. Every 2 minutes, we're gonna turn that pork chop. I guarantee when we slice into the middle, it's gonna be really nice and moist. Right, turn that over. That flavor on that toasted corn, beautiful. And again with the pork in, turn that over, and let that sit and base. The stock is a really important part. If you haven't got stock, honestly, water's fine. It just adds moisture. But more importantly, it stops the pork from overcooking. Hot pan, onions in, here we go. Succotash. Now, get a really nice color on those onions. Take your box grater. I've peeled that hard skin of the butternut squash. I'm just gonna grate this. This is a really nice way of sort of bringing the succotash together. Gives it a little bit of a sort of rich creaminess. And grating really helps to cook this butternut squash very, very quickly. And the kids love it. And it's a really nice sort of extra veg that goes in to that succotash. Beautifully done. Lightly season it. Salt, pepper. And now we're going to start building those flavors. Corn is toasting beautifully. That's going to give that really nice charred flavor, okay? To the naked eye, you think maybe it's a little burnt. It's not. It's char and really good flavor. Once those red onions start to melt down, start sprinkling in that butternut squash. Beautiful. Love that. Spread it out in the pan, get it really nice and crispy. And now we're going to start building those flavors. Next are going to be the peppers. First of all, just top and bottom. Stand it up. And then from there, just take your top of your knife and follow it all the way down. I like to cut around the seeds. And so we've got this nice, beautiful slice of pepper. Again, nice long strands in, and these nice chunky dice. For something like this, if you had more time, you could actually blister the peppers and literally dice the peppers the same way. Look at that pork. So beautiful. Now, start building the flavors of that succotash, keeping the heat nice and high, get rid of that water so the flavor's concentrated. You can turn that off there like that now and let that rest. The next pepper, same. Just a little slice off the bottom. Again, from the top, all the way around. Try not to go too deep. Again, and a nice large dice. So think about the flavors. The nice thing about the succotash, it can be done through winter, autumn, spring, or summer. I tend to lighten the flavors, especially in the spring. But the toasted corn is the secret. That's what really makes this. I'm gonna put the zucchini in last because that's the bit that doesn't really take much time to cook. Look at that, beautiful. So good, love it. That squash is now starting to melt down and literally almost act like a puree. Got my corn and my zucchini left now. Beautiful. That looks beautiful. Zucchini. Again, top and tail. Slice them lengthways. I like to go on the outside of the zucchini, so I've got all that nice, vibrant green. The inside's a little bit spongy, so no real flavor there. But this is the flavor of the zucchini. I'm not a big fan of all the sort of seeds in the middle, but this really does add a really nice texture to that succotash. And then look, back together, bunch them up. I like the dice. It's a very good fit for when you're cooking chicken and pork, and so easy to do. In we go. And now, put a little teaspoon of minced garlic in. And now with my corn, slice that in half, and then literally just stand that up and take all those beautiful kernels off. And the smell and the flavor is amazing. Again, off, beautiful. I love cooking corn like this, especially for a salsa. Amazing. In. Now, just to bring that heat to the succotash, a little minced jalapeno, and they're just pureed and blitzed with the seeds. Depending on your excitement for heat, I love putting that in there, especially at the end, because it gives it that really nice sort of hot lift to the succotash. My cilantro, just sliced once, not chopped fine, and then sprinkle that over and in. And this is where we start to build those amazing flavors. My lime, take off the ends, and literally squeeze that fresh lime in there. So we start building that out now, and it goes really well. Nice thing about making succotash like this is that it sort of starts off a little pan, but honestly, just with those few vegetables, I've got 8, 9, 10 portions of this succotash, and it's quite a spicy one as well, which is lovely. But it just travels so far, and the yield is incredible. Beautiful. Rustic, delicious, and incredibly quick. Check the seasoning. Touch more salt. Touch more pepper. And then just bring that together with a little touch of olive oil at the end. Beautiful. With what started off with a few vegetables, look, I've got all this amazing goodness. And that's the nice thing about succotash. The next day, honestly, I've had spoons of succotash sat on top of sourdough bread with little chicken tenders to top that, and it is so delicious. And even warm or cold the next day, it offers you something unique. But it's the toasting of that corn that's the most exciting part. Now, for the plating. This thing sits incredibly natural, a nice, generous helping of succotash. I've let my pork chop cool down in the pan. Rolled it round inside those juices a couple of times. I guarantee this pork chop is moist, delicious. I'm gonna take a couple of spoons of those cooking juices and literally just go over. And then as it rests with all that fragrance and all those herbs, the flavor is intense. And then just some fresh lime. And there we have a beautiful, delicious roasted pork chop that you chose with the most amazing fragrant succotash. Welcome back to Next Level Kitchen, where the mentors of Next Level Chef are giving you the most extraordinary tricks, tips, and amazing recipes to cook at home. Now, come on, you know by now I love an absolute amazing challenge. So today, I'm challenging myself to make a dish using the humble ground beef. Honestly, it's a dish that's perfect for a party, especially at home. Now, I'm making these Asian-inspired beef lettuce cups. Trust me, you're gonna love them. I make them at home all the time, especially with the girls. They're easy to do, but it's a showstopper. Now, first thing, get that pan smoking hot because we got ground beef. And I just want you to open that up a little bit and season it first before it goes into the pan, right? Salt, nicely done. Pepper, okay. I'm gonna put a touch of sesame seed oil over the beef, just a touch. And then from there, let that sit in. Grapeseed oil, a neutral oil, okay? Now, it's ground beef, okay? You'll be surprised, just literally 400 grams of this, how far it will go. Let that sit in. Right, touch of oil in first, and then just start dropping this ground beef in into little bits. Now, I want it hot because I want it crispy, okay? Good. And then start breaking that up, okay? Love that. Now, you can do this with ground turkey, ground pork, ground lamb. In fact, the combination of beef and pork for me is delicious. Wash the hands. Now, give that a little stir. It's really important to keep the heat in the pan. Break it up nicely. You can see how crispy that beef's getting. It's so good. Oh my goodness me. Richard Blaze, are you watching? Yes. Live from the golf course. He's back in the bunker again. Now, that's what you want. The colour. Beautifully done. Spend 3 or 4 minutes getting this bit right, and honestly, it transforms the lettuce cups. Now, let's go up a little bit with the heat. Touch more pepper. Touch a chili flake in there, okay? Depending how spicy you want it, build those flavours. I don't go too spicy. The girls like spice, but not overindulgence. Once you've got the colour on that beef, then we start building the flavour. A little touch, teaspoon of minced garlic into the centre. I've got a nice stem of ginger. I'm going to grate the ginger in there because I want the juice in there as well. Okay, and look, the sort of grating the ginger just purees it, and it sort of cooks quicker, and it really does help lift that flavour up. It's so good, honestly. The heat, the spiciness from that ginger is delicious. Get a little teaspoon and just scrape that down. Now, again, give that a really good mix. It's really important that you saute that ground beef, not boiling it, because the difference is night and day, the texture. Look at that, beautiful. And continue breaking it up, really important. The beef's getting really nice and crispy. Beautiful. Now, a little teaspoon of dark soy. In we go. Not too much, don't flood it. A little touch of fish sauce. Just a touch. Smattering, teaspoon, right? And then again, build out that flavour with a little drizzle of the sesame oil, okay? And look. Now, that beef is caramelising. Look at it. So good. And it's almost like a sort of chili beef because it's crispy. It's starting to glaze. I'm gonna break that up. And now, once that's cooked, turn the gas off and just let it sit. Now, how do we finish that? I've got some really nice scallions, okay? And literally just slice them on the bias, nice and thinly. And what this does, it gives that little level of freshness. Scallions are from the leek family, but it's a really nice, light, delicious onion flavor. Scallions go in, sprinkle that over the beef. Now I'm starting to build those amazing flavors, right? Sesame seeds, start building more texture. Sesame seeds toasted, sprinkled over. Now we're set to go, okay? Leave that just sat there, absorbing in amongst all that amazing flavor. Now, the peanut sauce. First off, 200 ml of coconut milk. 2 nice large dollops of peanut butter. I like the sort of soft peanut butter, okay? In, and bring that to the boil. And this is just almost like a lovely garnish, okay? From there, we want a little bit of tartness, fish sauce. Literally a tablespoon in. A touch of dark soy. Again, you can just see where we're going now, building these beautiful flavors. From there, a teaspoon of honey. That gives it that really nice sweetness. Beautiful. Honey goes in. Now, I just like to finish the lettuce cups with this peanut sauce. Bring that to the boil and give that a really nice whisk. Now bring that to the boil and you'll see it thickening nicely. A little touch more of the peanut butter. It's so lovely, this soft stuff, by the way. Now, increase the heat there in that peanut sauce. Some chili flakes, a nice little smattering inside. Now, we've got the heat, we've got the caramelization. We need to bring this temperature down, so a quick pickle. My favorite is this beauty, daikon, the Chinese radish. Lightly peel it. When I say quick pickling, this is so easy to do. Box grater, grate, again. Once you've grated that all the way down, lay that out, open that up, and just lightly sprinkle that with a touch of granulated sugar, okay? And then from there, just a little touch of white wine vinegar. And this is a really nice, quick pickling. Now, again, if you can do that overnight, perfect. But honestly, it doesn't need to be a hot pickle. Just literally let that sit there, marinate, and the texture and the freshness from that daikon is beautiful. Really good. Sauce. Once that sauce comes to a boil, give it a really nice whisk, and that soft peanut butter will help thicken the coconut milk. And it's a really nice way of adding, again, another beautiful texture. Love it. Now, the lime for the garnish, because that's what we're going to finish this beautiful dish with. So, take your big, beautiful lettuce hearts off with the core, open them out, and just start thinking 1, 2, on average 3 wraps each. The kids go crazy for this. It's a really nice sharing plate, especially ahead of a big night. They absolutely devour these in seconds. Off. I love the big outside leaves. And look, here's how we're going to start building them. And now the build. That beef is so crispy, honestly. First off, I'm going to go in the bottom of these cups with a quick pickle of the daikon. okay? That's gonna give you a little bit of crunch at the bottom. And then layer those up. Next, we go in with a little touch of my sauce, peanut sauce. There. That's a really nice welcome surprise at the bottom of these lettuce cups. It's sort of spicy, coconut, touch of heat in there with the flakes. And then from there, build up with your beef. Now, it's crispy and it's so tasty. Fill up these cups. Be generous with them, right? It's a really delicious lettuce and it's got a lot of structure. But more importantly, it holds a lot of beef. And then think about the layers. Pack that beef in to those cups. And look, oh my goodness me, beautiful. Looks like I've got room for one more there. Yes, one in the middle. I'm gonna waste that. Touch of sauce. And now for the finishing touches. I've got my pickled onions. And they're just gonna sit on top beautifully. Honestly, this is with beef, with turkey, the same way, incredible. Pork, delicious. Even lamb. But I have to say, ground beef is my favorite. And I think you can see why. And then just for a little bit of extra color, I've got some nice little bits of carrot the girls love. And that goes on top. And then finally, take your fresh lime, literally, and just make sure you touch each one with that fresh lime juice. And there we go. A rapid, delicious, quick, chili ground beef lettuce cups. Take that, Richard Blaze. Welcome to Next Level Kitchen, where the mentors of Next Level Chef are determined to give you amazing tips, tricks, and recipes to make your food at home taste even better. Now, come on, you know by now I love a challenge. So today, I'm challenging myself to take a dish that, in many ways, I grew up with. It's something very British, and turn it into a delicious sandwich. I'm taking the full English breakfast and turning it into the perfect breakfast sandwich. Now, I've done it for a pizza. I'm still not sure on baked beans on a pizza. But let's put it between two slices of bread and enjoy it. Let's go. Right, first off, cast iron pan. Okay, I got my bacon, my sausages, and my tomatoes. I want some fat off that bacon, okay? So get the pan nice and hot. Got these nice little breakfast sausages. In they go, yeah? And the best way to cook a sausage, always, is to give them some color and, yeah, prick it with a fork. That allows some of the fat to run out, but what it does do, it stops the skins from bursting, and more importantly, really does help cook those sausages beautifully, okay? Now, once you've got the collar on them, turn them over and prick the other side as well. Honestly, it really helps to keep the sausage incredibly moist, yeah? There you go. Now, once you've got the colour on the sausages, keep that heat up nice and high. And now we're going to start layering the bacon. I've got some back bacon, streaky bacon, but it's been lightly smoked. So that's going to give a really nice smoky flavour to those sausages. In we go, okay? And then from there, that fat will render really quickly. We want it nice and crispy. Not burnt, but just nice and crispy. A light seasoning of pepper on the sausages. A little bit of pepper on the bacon. No salt, because it's cured, so it's already salty, okay? Pepper gives it that little bit of heat. And then from there, just a little touch of butter and put that into the pan. That helps to brown the sausages even more, okay? Beautiful. Now, turn those sausages over. That butter's browning now. The flavour is incredible. Just don't go in too early with that butter, otherwise you'll end up boiling the bacon. Now, look at that. The breakfast of champions. Turn the bacon over. And look, come on, seriously, that is beautiful. Really beautiful. That is called a Le Creuset heart attack, right there. Joking, joking. Nothing wrong with these breakfast sandwiches. Not every Sunday, but every other Sunday. Now, once we've got the colour on the bacon, the sausages, in with the tomatoes. And again, just prick them with a fork, okay? And that helps to blister the tomatoes. And now, you can start to see the way the tomatoes break down. They start to blister. And the flavour is incredible. Just prod them with a fork. And look at that, so beautiful. Love it. By literally prodding your tomatoes with a fork, it starts to break them down. And eventually what I want is a really nice sort of roasted tomato puree. It's so good. Now, turn those sausages around. Colour, beautiful. All the fat's coming out. The bacon's getting nice and crispy. And the tomatoes are blistering beautifully. Really good. All that white fat from the bacon is gone. And those tomatoes start to blister. Now, once you've got the colour on the sausages, the tomatoes start to break down. Literally, that whole skillet goes into the oven. About 4 minutes. And now we're going to start the luxurious end of this breakfast sandwich. I'm going to fry eggs like never before. Start off with a little touch of oil. I like these eggs to be sort of blistered, but crispy and delicious. First off, a touch of oil, butter into the pan. Really nicely done. And then from there, get your eggs, crack on a flat surface, open them up, and into the pan. Now, again, into the pan. From there, a nice seasoned pepper, touch of salt, back on the heat. That butter is melting and beautifully browning. Also just a little touch of chili flakes. That gives my sort of eggs just a little bit of heat on top. And it's lovely, especially with the sausages and the sweet tomatoes. And look, once you've got that butter foaming, okay, I've got these eggs frying. And I want the eggs crispy, but look, just clockwise, just roll the pan round, and that foaming butter cooks the egg white beautifully. And look at that. Because everyone's worried about that sort of raw egg white close to those yolks. And when you roll them round like that, it sort of almost floods the center of that egg with that foaming butter. So it's quite an art in frying an egg perfectly. I love the ends nice and crispy. I like all the white beautifully cooked. And the heat with those chili flakes back on. Now, this is where it goes up another level. A touch of sriracha onto my egg. And then just a little spice of Worcestershire sauce. Just a little touch. And honestly, they are eggs to die for on top. And then from there, just turn the gas off, and the remaining heat in this pan will continue cooking those eggs. The white's cooked, the yolk is cooked, the base of my egg is nice and crispy, but I've got this nice sriracha, sort of chili flake, Worcester sauce, pepperiness, delicious, honestly. Now, look at that. Oof, beautiful. From there, center cut, one nice slice, all the way down, okay? And then from there, one slice. I'm telling you, this sandwich serves two, at least. And all we're gonna do there now is just slice two beautiful slices, like that. Now, listen, we're not gonna be toasting this bread, okay? But what I am gonna do is just steal some of that flavor from these eggs, okay? And on goes that little bit of sort of spicy sriracha butter with the Worcester sauce, and just dab that over, okay? And just take all that flavor. We don't need to butter this bread, I promise you. Look at those eggs. Now, into the oven we go. Oh, beautiful. Really beautiful. Look at those sausages. Crisp bacon. Now, we start building this thing. First off, my sausages. Just lightly drain the sausages, okay, and the bacon. We don't want a greasy sandwich. A delicious sandwich, but not greasy. Now, look at those tomatoes, okay? And all I'm gonna do now is get my fork and just crush them a little bit, just on top, just so all the water comes out. And all we're doing now is just literally pureeing. It spits at you as well. Press them down, yeah? It's got this little sort of puree. Take a little aged of vinegar, aged balsamic vinegar, and just let it sit there. And now we start to build this beauty. Sausages, gonna go on the bottom, okay? On, slice in half. Oh, man. Open them up. That way, when we cut this thing, they don't all fall out. Like I said, this thing will do for two. Look at that beauty. From there, we layer the bread with the bacon. Beautiful. Oh. Oh my goodness me. See? Stunning. And then from there, my beautiful tomatoes. And there's been sort of squashed in the pan, mixed with that little bit of vinegar. It's almost like this beautiful tomato puree. Honestly, I'll take this over a full English any day. And then just squash them down nicely. Oh my goodness me. And then finally, my eggs. Look, they are crispy underneath, runny in the middle. Oh, man. Okay. Spicy on top. And then from there, we close her up. We put that on there, and we just push down nicely. You ready for the slice of your life? And then we come down. Oh, my Lord. Get your ganachas around that. And that there is a delicious, spicy, beautiful breakfast sandwich that will cure any hangover at any time of the week. Now, thank you so much for watching Next Level Kitchen, and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing videos.